So I've picked a couple of Skoda Superbs, but this particular Skoda Superb is a 2010 car. And it was a 1.8 TSI manual transmission, which has done about 65,000 kilometers. And it's surprisingly a pretty clean car at that. It doesn't look, it's beaten up. The headliner's perfect. The fact that the reason why I picked up a couple of 1.8 TSIs is first things first, these TSIs had a gearbox issue if it was an automatic back then. This didn't have the well prepped DQ3. I think DQ200 was the one that came with GT TSI. I think this car also had a DQ200 if it was an automatic. And I'm sure a lot of GT TSI owners can stress on how dreadful a DQ200 gearbox is and the nightmares that people give. I'm looking at what Adit has to say about DQ200.
So I don't have anything to say about DQ200, but you have a 1.8 octane, right?
I have a 2.0 TDI, but I did have a 1.8 TSI as well.
Okay.
If I want to talk about, like, luckily, I've had no DSG issues at all till now, touch wood. That said, I did have a lot of friends in the Team PHP community who had their mechatronics unit just go haywire. It had to be replaced under goodwill, or you're expected to pay crazy amounts of money. But luckily, some of them got goodwill warranty. It was great, but some of them didn't. But irrespective, if you had a DQ200 failure in a Skoda Superb, you had to remember that your car would spend at least 30 days in the service center. But this particular example, what I picked up was a 1.8 TSI manual transmission, and Skoda's manual gearboxes were actually fun. It had a heavier clutch. It's not very light and easy to operate. It's a slightly heavier clutch, but a great gearbox, butter smooth, slots in well. And you have to talk about that Gen 2 TSI engine. 1.8 TSI is a fantastic engine. I think 180, 190 horsepower sounds absolutely ridiculous. You can do crazy amounts of mods with that. I'm sure I want to hear about what your thoughts are on the mods on a 1.8 TSI.
Shit. Okay, so this is never a good topic, I'll be honest with you. There's only one way this goes, depending on what you do to your car. So I think Nishit forgot to mention this, but everyone worships the Laura as like the 1.8 TSI manual Laura as the best first car you can probably buy in India because of how much modding capability it has, because of that engine. A lot of people forget that that engine came in so many cars, which Skoda like the WAG group brought to India. So this was one of them. And honestly, I think you get these at like a much cheaper point, like a price point, because not too many owners know that it's like so moddable. Other than the fact that it's like, yeah, it's definitely heavier. It definitely probably won't have such a great chassis. But if you're looking at something to like use on a daily basis, not go to a drag meet or a track day and just go on like highways and like on drives with your friends, this will more than cut it. And for the price difference, you'll be able to mod it as well. You can go stage 2 from any tuner for that. The price difference, since this car is at 330, I think Lauras are priced way higher than this with the same engine transmission system. So I think it's a great car. I know people who've taken it up to 400. I know people who've taken it up to 250. I know people who've taken it up to like anything. But the higher you go, the shorter time it's going to last for. They don't last forever. 100% I can tell you. Is if you leave them stock, they have a decent chance at it. But anything you tune, you do an exhaust, just know that you're shortening the lifespan that your car is going to have. And if you're going to drive it hard, I wouldn't suggest you do more than like a stage 1 and like some basic mods, because it's on its way out.
I think I would agree with your point there, given this car is about 11 years old now. Sure, doing crazy mods, unless you put in a lot of money, you're just reducing the life of the car for sure. But like you said, for your city drives, for your highway drives with your friends, or probably just daily commuting, I think this can do just fine. Of course, the mileage was absolutely ridiculous. I remember we had the facelifted Super. I'll get to that model as well. That car used to return about 3 to 4 kilometers per liter in Bangalore stop and go traffic, 3 to 4 kilometers per liter. That's how low it used to give. But definitely, I think if I were one, I think I would pick the manual one. It's easier to get a good mod, probably get a good intake system, good intercooler, and I think a good exhaust as well. I wouldn't go more than stage two. I think stage two itself would be killing the car. I think stage one or stage one plus, I'm happy to keep it as is. And on to add a second point, I feel why these cars are at a lower price point than the Lauras is because suddenly people have started appreciating the 1.8 TSL Lauras a lot more than they used to do it before. Back in the days, what I remember is people always used to look for, okay, I want to buy a top end Laura which had the DSG, etc., etc. But the 1.8 ambient trim line and a manual transmission wasn't picked a lot. And ever since the Octavia RS 230 came into India, people started looking at the older Laura a lot more than they. I feel that way. I don't know what you think about that. What's your point on this?
So the Laura's see, now I think the petrolhead community is also grown. The internet representation of the Indian petrolhead community is also grown. So there's many more people talking about cool cars than there were back then. Before it was just magazines and stuff, newspaper articles, I'm guessing, which talked. And the enthusiast market wasn't this diverse. There weren't that many people who wanted cool cars at a lower price point because they didn't think they existed. But after people realized that I can have a quick, fun daily driver, that's when people started going for manual 1.8 Lauras. And I know people way before the 230 came out wanted a Laura manual just to hoon around in and modify.
I would agree with the point. Right now, as we speak, I've got a very good friend of mine. He's picked up a Laura 1.8 TSI. He's doing crazy amount of mods on it. And that way, I know a couple of friends within my immediate friend circle who've done, I think, 340 horsepower on their Laura RS, and they still daily the car, and that's pretty good. I mean,
did it last for 3.4 minutes or 3.5?
That's a point that we can discuss. I think it'll be up for discussion, but it's interesting for sure. We're gonna get a lot of hate from the community if we talk about that, but let's see what happens with the car going forward. But yeah, I think that's a good car.
Yeah.
On to you, Adit. What's the next car?
Yeah, it's a great car. Okay. Since we brought up Superbs and the whole Skoda family, let me just find it. I had found an older Skoda that not too many people talk about, but I thought it was really, really interesting. Let's get the Superb. So you found a Superb with a 1.8 petrol manual. I found my type of car again, done 1 lakh kilometers. The 2006 Skoda Superb 2.5 TDI V6 automatic. When I saw this car, I had no freaking clue that the Superbs came with a V6.
And it's a diesel that you mentioned.
Yeah, so I didn't know they came with a V6 to start with. When I saw V6, my assumption was definitely a petrol, right? But it's a diesel V6, so it makes probably some insane amount of torque, and it's all-wheel drive as well. So if you can come up, I'm pretty sure these cars aren't mod friendly. They're probably breaking in stock condition also if you don't maintain them well. So let's keep it stock. But even with a stock car like this, it's an insane value for money proposition because it's literally 1,25,000. So you can definitely maintain it for a 5 lakh budget. What do you think?
Definitely, dude. Since you're mentioning 5 lakh budget and the car's at 1,25,000, I'm sure you can have your fair share of fun with the car and quickly sell it and get another one. Because I feel the earlier gen Skodas, that's 2004 to 2008-ish, you couldn't keep them for really long. Just have your fun with it and just let go. At least that's my thought. But what I'm really surprised is a V6 diesel, because I was always under an assumption that the Skoda Superb, the V6 that came to India, were petrols. I didn't know there was a diesel V6. Now that you've just shown the link, it's a 2.5 V6, I'm definitely surprised. And the diesel one at that. Like you mentioned, I'm sure crazy amounts of torque.
So it makes 350 Newton meters of torque.
In 2004 or 5? That's crazy. That's a lot of
and it has 170 horsepower.
pretty good.
And
I mean,
it's
it's a
all-wheel
fun
drive.
car.
It's not like those front-wheel drive cars. It
Now
will be
here's an
insane.
interesting. Here's an
And it gives you
interesting
9.1
fact that
kilometers per liter.
I think that number we have to let go a bit for sure. Again, this is again one of those cars which Greta would be really pissed off with, which again I think would be a fact that it makes the petrol heads happy. Again, like Adit mentioned, not to destroy the planet, but to see that Greta is just fuming. So that's just a quick banter there. But I should definitely mention one more thing, dude. Since you found a diesel, there's something that I have to mention. A quirky fact that these Superbs, I think the one that you found, that particular Gen 1 Superb, had a 2.8 V6, again, all-wheel drive. Great car. I've never driven one, but it looks stately. It looks like a poor man's Audi A8, if I may mention, the first gen Superb. But there's also an interesting fact that I've heard of recently from a couple of these really OG tuners in Bombay, like N1 Performance and all these guys. So this particular car was this Skoda Superb 3.8 FSI V6 all-wheel drive. It sounds like a great combination.
3.8.
And 3.2 FSI
Okay.
V6. I think this particular car was from 2008 to 11 before the facelift came in, and then the new Superb came. So 2008 to 11, there's a 3.2 FSI V6. Sounds fantastic. And I think this was the engine borrowed from the Audi cars. Of course, it has to be that. And right now, again, just a fun fact, there is, I think someone in Mumbai is working on a Polo with a V6 engine. Polo with an all-wheel drive or V6. There's something crazy that's going on. I've seen.
I think this is N1 again. They've done some sort of swap from God knows what, but they've swapped some massive WAG engine into a GT-DSi, stripped the shell, and it's making some 450 horsepower or something, like some insane figure. I saw a video of it on the what is that called? They have a dyno. I think it's N1 or they have a dyno, and I saw it pulling.
Now
some figure, the horsepower was insane. It's all-wheel drive
right
for a Polo.
Right? Oh god.
Yeah, I would do that.
I
would do that if I had the budget for it.
That definitely is right up Adit's alley, because it's a great money pit and it's a Polo for sure. I'm sure you can do great wonders, but this is a surprising car.
Also, I just figured something out.
Okay.
The diesel I mentioned is front-wheel drive.
Oh, okay. So it's okay. We'll stand corrected. So the diesel
That
was the
takes away a
front-wheel
lot.
drive,
Yeah.
and the petrol was the all-wheel
Petrol was
drive.
all-wheel
Is that
drive.
what it was? Dude, I'm really
Petrol was
okay.
all-wheel drive.
I have to mention here. I'm really curious on. I do know that there was this one person in Goa who made an all-wheel drive Laura. He was one of these motorsports dudes in the car. I forgot. I think Keith D'Souza or someone. He made a Laura all-wheel drive. I'm assuming all the VAG cars had a similar modular all-wheel drive system that they could plonk onto any Skoda, any Volkswagen they could come up with.
So,
but I'm definitely curious.
This brings up another
sorry.
build I've seen. There's this guy called Sean in Hyderabad, SRP driver on Instagram. He has a
Correct.
Octavia. Okay, and that car kills Caymans and stuff at the drag. I've seen that car in front of me, and it pulls, it launches so hard, it grips so well, it's insane. I've seen Laura struggling for traction from second to third also in some cases. But that car just like from a go killed everything almost. Yeah, it has like this cool center exit exhaust that reminds me of like a Murcielago. The tip is as big as a Murcielago exhaust.
Is this a red, completely drag spec car that you're talking about?
Yeah, the red and
That's a
white
regular
one.
at room. It must, again, I'm
It's
sure
insane.
like the amount of money that's spent on that car would be at least twice or thrice of the donor car.
Yeah,
for sure.
100%. Also, it's
I wanna
rear
do a
engined if I'm
small
not wrong.
research. As a
If I'm
drag
not
spec,
wrong,
I
I'm
think
100%.
it makes sense.
It should
So
make sense because
since
then you
you're
could just
mentioning
put
that-
the whole thing in the back. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe because like it really motivates us to shoot more content, edit more videos, and just create more things for you guys to watch. And if you guys have any ideas related to what we should shoot next, or if you guys have any interesting car stories or something like that, feel free to reach out to us, maybe through the comment section below, or even DM us on Instagram. So yeah, thank you.